All right, it is Thursday, February 29th, 2024, and I want to document the Los Angeles Police Department is currently and continuously engaged at overnight, this is always the case, so I just want to, this is what was published yesterday, and this again is just during daytime hours where the entity is maintaining the light source, the entity is maintaining the engineered light on an ongoing constant basis, as my documentation has thoroughly revealed, and also yesterday, the 28th, thoroughly demonstrated. The maintenance of engineered light, the maintenance of the specific environment's light source, while the Los Angeles Police Department are engaged in complying with the demonic and specific pattern of conduct of group stalking by the corrupt law enforcement agencies that are captured maintaining group presence, group stalking with, that is, the people of the state. And all of these times were a means of documentation while they're engaging in this this pattern of conduct. And it's at third-party facilitating venue Alvarado Gardens, both where I work. So this is essentially this is workplace terrorism and group stalking, which is an additional means of prosecution for third-party group stalker Ted Speaker and speaker companies and the people of the state. All right, this is a prosecution that will be against the state of California, but you are engaging in what is group stalking as a public entity. The people of the state in and of itself is going to be facing a criminal prosecution and for purposes of vicariously acting on behalf of that public entity. And the reason why I'm reminding you of all of these times that were published yesterday, the 28th, is because the pattern of conduct, obviously, okay, where you are maintaining the phenomenon, it does not reasonably follow that an entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct is going to stop it after 6 p.m., for example. And my documentation is in no way suggesting that the pattern of conduct has ceased. For example, it was most vividly demonstrated during the 5 years where I was homeless in the Inland Empire. And it provided actually what was, ironically, the opportunity to show the world the obsessive stalking by the public entity. And that was vividly illustrated by the Ontario Police Department, who at 24 hours a day were documented engaged in obsessive stalking in a helicopter, flying in circles around me, which is the demonic behavioral pattern of pacing. All right, the flying in circles is repeatedly crossing path. So this flying in circles conduct this is doing what they're doing in the engineered light in the specific environment. The entity was maintaining that specific environment while the demon-possessed agency, that is the Ontario Police Department, a corrupt law enforcement agency, were practicing the satanic targeting method of federal group stalking and monitoring. And this is fully published evidence that is already existing, and the Los Angeles Police Department is acting in full compliance with this already pre-established pattern of conduct, demonstrating the fact that it is indeed, irrespective of any location, it is the state's pattern of conduct. And this you also know when the entity is using the satanic method of following with an environment that could not possibly be the natural environment. That's how you're understanding what is serving a state system, a massive state system that's supposed to be hidden maliciously within the environment that follows the targeted individual. And that's how you know who are the demon possessed. That's how you know who is group stalking. And that's also how you identify the one who is being targeted. But like I stated, I'm reminding you of this because the entity is overnight engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct. The Los Angeles Police Department, they are indeed engaging in obsessive stalking at nightfall. It does not stop after, for example, 5:14 p.m., which is the last time that I published yesterday. And it's also speaking to the entity is continuously engaging. And so, for example, while I am sleeping, waking me up in the middle of the night with the amplification of helicopter activity. I have already published the presence of engineered light, impossible light activity that's present at nightfall. And these patterns of the light, as I've already shown, these are also the form of the blinds of the window. It's just this warped shape of the window on the side of the window frame. It's moving up onto the ceiling. It's entirely demented, as you can look at the imagery that's appearing. It's the directed light, and it's present at nightfall. And so I did go around my apartment just to show you the ongoing remaining presence of engineered light. I want to be clear, the phenomenon is present because the pattern of conduct is underway. And I have already established that the state's pattern of conduct remains underway. I am publishing this ongoing information not only as a reminder, but as a reference to what the Los Angeles Police Department is doing on an ongoing basis. And as of 4:15 a.m., the Los Angeles Police Department is, and it wasn't just 4:15 a.m. today, the entity is engaging in this on an ongoing basis, but I think that I want to make sure that I publish this because this is going toward the entity's prosecution, and this is going toward the, again, the mental instability of the entity, especially the corrupt law enforcement agency that is acting here in Los Angeles. It's the Los Angeles Police Department, and the people of the state. The people of the state are not sleeping. The maintenance of the light source, the presence of the engineered light, it is speaking to a ceaseless pattern of conduct. I am revealing what is an invisible condition that you cannot see, you cannot witness with your eyes. I'm speaking to what is demon possession. I'm speaking to what is essentially a quote unquote concealed condition and a secret criminal system that's practiced by the state. Everything that's supposedly concealed, everything that's supposedly secret has been made manifest. I'm showing you everything that this entity is doing, and I'm showing you all the ways that they do it. What they are doing is speaking to a criminal system that is not, and it is unreasonable. Not only am I establishing, I've already established by the evidence, but I'm just going to be frank. It's unreasonable to even suggest that this pattern of conduct is somehow stopping and everyone's going to sleep and no one's being group stalked and monitored anymore. Okay, that's not the case. And 4:15 in the morning, the Los Angeles Police Department is amplifying helicopter activity and group stalking flying over my apartment in the same way that I'm showing you the dozens and dozens of times during the day. This is what they're doing overnight, and doing so in concert with the people of the state. All of this is relevant to that ongoing heavy and necessarily intense federal policy for the people of the state, for the damages, civil damages that a property owner as a criminal facilitator, and the not only is it Ted Speaker's property that the state is practicing the satanic targeting system, this criminal, unprecedented criminal act on. Ted Speaker's real property is a crime scene, okay? Ted Speaker's company is a criminal facilitator of the state of California's criminal act. It is facilitating federal group stalking and monitoring. This is not a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen, but I just want to be clear. Civil and criminal prosecution, any third-party group stalker that is in any way found to be criminally facilitating the threat to the life of an American citizen, you don't have a legal argument. And it is no competition for what is the life, physical safety, and overall well-being of an American citizen that is subject to this criminal act by a government and the people on your property or by your business. Period. And you're talking about a means of well-established documentation. And so the ongoing terrorism remains at nightfall on an ongoing basis. Reference my documentation, because it's not just today that I'm published it. I have long published the group stalking on a ceaseless basis by the public entity. And so under these circumstances, yes, you can reference what I've published about the Los Angeles Police Department while I'm in the zip code of 90026 in Los Angeles, California. But you will also reference with regard to the prosecution of Ted Speaker, where I remain subject to this system, and the people of the state at the facilitating venue, where I remain subject to the system when you're considering the punishment of those engaging in criminal facilitation and group stalking with the corrupt law enforcement agency, and with regard to the punishment for the state acting via the LAPD. When you're considering what is the time in federal prison, etc., the pattern of conduct, etc., with regard to what has already been established as the P.O.C., the ceaseless system that is in operation. Yes, you are able to reference what has already been established about the obsessive group stalking by the corrupt law enforcement agencies, and this record already exists. This has been provided chiefly by the Ontario Police Department, who have been documented on an ongoing basis, and I mean 24 hours a day, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning into the evening, the obsessive group stalking, and that's exactly what the Los Angeles Police Department is doing as well. The record of the public entity, and that's exactly what the Los Angeles Police Department represents, and this is a criminal suit against the state of California and the people of the state. That's exactly what this entity, as I am in Los Angeles, represents. So not only does their criminal act, their ceaseless system already exist as a matter of record, I am hereby documenting on February 29th, 2024 at 4:33 a.m. that the entity is, and it's not new today, but I am hereby making an outright and unequivocal form of documentation stating that that's exactly what the Los Angeles Police Department is acting in conformity to, and 4:15 a.m. and even before so on an ongoing basis at nightfall, disrupting sleep, engaging in what is the obsessive group stalking. And the people of the state, the demon possessed, by the way, are not taking a nap, they're not sleeping, they're not resting from engaging in this criminal system. And that's just a reality, and that's also evidenced by the presence of the impossible light activity that remains inside of my apartment at nightfall. On the ceilings, the appearance of the windows, just as you see my shadow appearing on all walls inside of my bedroom, as you see the living room walls appearing on all walls inside the enlarged, magnified size of my shadow up right in front of me, moving all over the walls, the pattern of the blinds surrounding in the living room. This is what is surrounding at nightfall. This is ongoing terrorism that the state is engaging in at nightfall. Ongoing terrorism and obsessive group stalking, speaking to the mental state, which is directly brought into question at the prosecution of the Los Angeles Police Department. This is already demonstrated by the same entity that was the Ontario Police Department, engaged in and documented heavily engaged in obsessive stalking in the specific environment when I was in Ontario, California, which, by the way, you are going to compare what is the quote unquote universe where the Ontario Police Department was in the specific environment, and the Los Angeles Police Department that is in the specific environment engaging in the same exact P.O.C, pattern of conduct. Okay, they're doing so at nightfall. It is currently 4:35 a.m. and this is a documentation of the people of the state that are engaging in this and disrupting sleep. And this is showing the level of obsession and also demonstrating the threat to the life, the ongoing desperation. You're talking about the impermissible threat. They're monitoring the one that is being documented. So they are monitoring you, and they're literally monitoring you while they're witnessing your documentation. This is an obsessed group stalker. This is a criminal that is wearing a badge. And then you have the malicious actor, the people of the state, who are monitoring every single time the police department are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct in this way, meaning they are going out of their way to demonstrate audible activity. They're going out of their way to create light activity and group stalking, crossing path in the face of the target individual. Where the entity is through via the corrupt law enforcement agency, the people of the state are holding hands with that entity. They are threatening the life personally in the presence of the target individual together. Okay, so what the police departments are doing, these corrupt law enforcement agencies, the people of the state are doing with them. So it's relevant to the prosecution, to the punishment, to the civil prosecution of the whole entity, first of all. Second of all, it is directly bringing into question the mental state of the entity. Not only is group stalking already disturbing, not only are their methods disturbing, you're talking about the obsession that I'm revealing by virtue of just the ongoing, continuing group stalking conduct, as I just document time after time after time. You're talking about literally witnessing and documenting the obsessive stalking conduct in the specific environment. You know exactly what it is, and that's exactly what's brought into question at that federal prosecution. So it is going toward the demise to its own detriment. The entity is engaged, so I am doing my due diligence because I will document every aspect of it, and it is in conformity to that which is already existing as a record against the state of California. Okay, reference the criminal acts of the the Ontario Police Department, which is the state of California that was group stalking in an entirely different area in the region, where the entity was maintaining the light source in its zenith over my head from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Again, and doing so in what is engineered light. That is number one. What could not possibly have been the sun, which is not possibly the sun while it's remaining here at Alvarado Gardens, where I remain all day long, by the way. That's what that's speaking to. Number two, in what was not sunlight, which again, in conformity to the pattern of conduct, as I'm showing you what is not possibly natural sunlight that surrounds me. So they were doing it in the specific environment, and they were doing it at an obsessive rate, and speaking to what they are doing in concert with the people of the state. Reference my documentation, because I did publish this morning, moments ago, the presence of this directed light that's inside of my apartment, which is speaking to ongoing terrorism, domestic terrorism that I remain subject to. Okay, that is speaking to what are incalculable damages, by the way. All right, and that's just necessary as a matter of justice. This is P.O.C.